We back. We back. It feels good to be back here.
No doubt. This is yeah, it's like, oh yeah, okay, I remember all this. You just like riding a bike. It always comes back to you when it matters the most.
Stay right there.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yes! What you gonna do? 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 What you gonna do?
Oh yeah.
And we're back. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of The Wrestling Realm Now. I'm your host, Brian H. Wars. Of course, I'm joined by the remarkable, the impeccable, ladies and gentlemen. They only make one of them. He is the Real Dwayne Allen.
You sound excited to be back on here.
Hey man, it's been a lot going on. I mean, we ain't been doing it. We haven't done it since SummerSlam.
Oh yeah, it's been a long SummerSlam.
Yeah, according to the records, you know, it was episode 14, and it was a SummerSlam preview, and then we left. I you know, since then, well, I did do an episode celebrating Big E's WWE Championship.
Okay, right.
And
what you did an excellent job on, by the way, because I'm always watching. So,
thank you. You know. Say loud for the people in the back, but you know, I did an episode on Big E's WWE Championship, and then I went on vacation, and then I started a new journey in life, a new career change. So,
I was say what you got married, but yeah, you kind of already were married.
Yeah, you know, I already got that. But I guess we might as well let the people know, because a lot of people have been, you know, asking a whole lot of questions.
Have they really been asking questions?
I'm in the social media where I just said it, didn't I? So that means it happened.
Oh, hey, well, shoot, maybe it did.
Yeah, so yeah, people been, you know.
I'll take your word for it. How about that?
You know, for those if you've been sleeping under a rock and you wasn't one of the 1,000 plus people, yeah, I just flex right there that like the Twitter post. See, I'm not one of the people that go viral when I tweet. So like when I posted my announcement, I was like, wow, that's got over 1,000 likes. Okay. But you know, I've joined the Ringer podcast group, working with the Ringer Wrestling, in particularly producing MacMania. So, and
hit the applause button one more time. That just deserves it. It deserves an applause. Hit the button. There it is.
Yeah. So shout out to Evan Mack, Jack Farmer, and Flobo, the guys over there on the show. You know, I've been on twice already. You know, Evan said, "Hey, you want to come on the show?" I'm gonna say no. I get a chance to talk wrestling. So, you know, but you know, a lot of people saying, "Well, are you still gonna be able to do your show? Are you still gonna be able to make appearances? Are you still gonna be able to come on our show?" And ladies and gentlemen, the answer is yes. You know,
I was about to be like,
Yes! Yes!
how fitting. I was gonna be like, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the Wrestling Room. Good night. It's a straight Michael Jackson conference. Thank you for everything. Good night. God bless you. Go home.
That would have been hilarious. But yeah, you know, about shortly after the announcement went out, you know, I joined the Black Wrestling Podcast to talk about, you know, things, and you know, shout out to them, Math, Cal,
my
Drip,
guys,
and Fam. Yeah, they told me, you know, come on, talk on the show. Shout out to Cal. Me and him had, you know, offline conversations about, you know, just balance and stuff. I ain't gonna put his shoot job out there, but if you know, and you know it's the reason why, you know, he was, you know, was talking to me about that stuff. And then I also went on Those Wrestling Girls. They did a real incredible job. I was like, yo, Dwayne,
they always do, of course.
Right, you know, I was like, "Are you busy tonight?" And he was like, "Yeah, bro." I mean, you just hit me at the last minute. I said, "Well, look, I'm gonna hop on Those Wrestling Girls. They doing this podcast promotion. you know. And
I
it
remember
wasn't
that
just-
too. I was like, I wanted to get on that too. It was just I was surrounded by people, and I was like, I can't even get a way to do a phone jiffy. So
yeah, they was, you know, they just wanted to, because at first I thought it was just for Black women creators, but they wanted to put a lot of the Black podcasters over. So I was like, well, sure, I'll come on, you know. So, you know, we, you know, still making towns. So that's been happening. Obviously, you know, I went to WWE SmackDown, got a chance to sit front row. My kids had fun.
how was that? Talk to the people. How was that experience? Because you sat like, they correct me if I'm wrong. It's got to be one of the closest seats that you sat in for the entire show. I know you got close before but you know, you've been one of the, you know, the people that work for WWE that fill the seats and stuff like that. But you know, this is your first time.
You're supposed to say that over air.
No, I didn't. I wasn't talking about you, of course. I was talking about just in general. So like you sat there the entire show, like front and center. I was getting mad because we ended up the family trying to watch it. Like, where's Bryan Danielson? We've been here all camera. Oh, it's like the camera would not go that direction because the direction of the stairs. So
yeah, it was pretty cool. I will say that you know, and for me, yeah, I've been to shows before. You know, sat front row at NXT. Obviously, the Indies. You remember?
Oh yeah, you did go to the NXT. That's when they went in Maryland, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we went up there the Father's Day weekend 2017. You remember this might have been your first no, it wasn't. I'm tripping. Your first independent show out of Maryland, and mine too, when we went to WXWC4.
Oh yeah,
and we was front row
at Harris Casino.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the casino. Yeah, you know, so we got a chance to see Rikishi. And you know, the Head Shrinkers reunited, you know, and you know me, I was marking out. I mean, they performed at the great WrestleMania 9 when they took on the Steiner brothers.
See, because they're family, I'm going to respectfully say I feel you on that one. But if they weren't family,
you know, and that was the first time we met babyface Lance on Hawaii. You know, but the show they was honoring,
he was young.
Yeah, you know, and it's like, you know, you saw a lot of people in the Indies. Black G's was on there. That's when he was really kind of going by the name Sabian, you know. So that was, you know, but that was on the
still going by Sabian at the time?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. You know,
I'm trying to keep my dates in order.
Yeah, this was 2011. He wrestled 2 Cold Scorpio, October 2011.
Yes, he did. Yep.
And you know, so that was cool. But you know, I think for me this time it was more about the children, right?
Yeah, sure.
The children getting an opportunity to be there. And you know, my daughter, that was her first time ever going to a show. My son, you know, he's a vet in the game by now. But my daughter getting that opportunity to see wrestling up close and personal, you know. So, and then, you know, to cap it off, the main event was Bianca and Sasha. I mean, you know,
those are her two favorites.
Exactly. So, you know,
dos sustos.
Right. And you saw how she was last week with the belts. You know, she had to show her godfather, Uncle Dwayne, look, I got belts. You know.
Yeah, for guys, for y'all that don't know the references, I was at Brian's house watching SmackDown.
Right.
Just so you know, with this family watch. I got in trouble that day, but it's okay. It worked out.
Yeah, he got in trouble. Yeah, he had heat.
Yeah, like, I had big heat. I turned my car right around. I said, nope, not I.
Exactly. You know,
trying to be a good evening though, full of sunflower seeds, candy, and SmackDown.
Right. I mean, where could you go wrong? And we didn't ruin it by changing to Rampage. But
no, we tried to watch Rampage at the end of SmackDown, but man,
the best show had happened already on YouTube though.
And that's
the best match.
You starting already. Let me pull the mic closer. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Buckle your seatbelts. You're now for a wrestling room ride.
But yeah, and then last not least, certainly, but you know, that Monday after SmackDown went down to the draft party. I actually still have some napkins from that. Shout out to it's Brett Waters.
You kept the napkins.
Yeah, because like that night they had a whole bunch, so you know I grabbed a handful.
Sure, that's me. Why not?
Yeah, it's got wrestling on there.
Napkins.
I meant to throw some in the bag for you. My bad, but you know they're here.
That's because Adam would have wiped his nose with him. He didn't need no napkins.
Yeah, so you know
he was tripping out that WWE hand sanitizer, so he appreciated it. I told he's supposed to call you and say thank you, but I guess we never got around to it. He don't sit still.
I'll see him eventually soon.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's been on the show before, so you know.
He
Or
asked
was
to be
that
on the show
Ashley's
tonight. Nah, it was our show. Yeah, it's like, hey,
Yeah.
you getting on tonight? I said, yeah, I'm getting on with your uncle. He said, so can I can get on the show? And he's got a laptop for school. He's like, I can get on my computer. Nah, bro, you going to bed. You're not getting on tonight.
What's so funny is the other day, so Jonathan had to go, you know, he's doing homeschool, so he had to go in for this these standardized tests, right?
Okay.
So then they had another school come in to talk to them about high school, which is crazy to think, you know, that in a couple of years he'll be getting ready to go to high school.
That's
and
crazy,
mind
right?
you remember when he was a baby saying CM Punk and what's the dude that not Mystico, but his WWE Sin Cara.
Wow, wow. Never mind.
you know, but that's, you know, that was like his first luchador. You know, it was Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara. And he was telling me, Dad, so there was these people there and they were wrestling fans. I told them to subscribe to your podcast. So you got some new Wrestling Realm listeners. So, you know, don't be surprised if he asks you for a check.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut him one. I owe him birthday money and like Christmas money for like the last year and a half, maybe. COVID. Yeah. So
hey, man. But yeah, you know, we was at the draft party. Shout out, you know, got a chance to hang out with obviously Britt Waters, DJ Heat, fellow Morgan State grad, as we on, you know, the cusp of Morgan State's homecoming. Corey was there, you know, Zaire, a couple of people, Dr. D, of course, Black Wrestler, and
all
of
the good
course,
brothers.
you know, the one with the camera, the man who's usually behind the lens of the Wrestling Realm, Hugh Diddy, down there.
The third member.
I know, right?
But whose side is he on?
What? Whose side is he on? But yeah, so you know, it was a good time, man. But you know, I'm definitely been getting settled. You know, like I said, every Tuesday, you know, producing Mac Mania. So life really revolves around wrestling. You know, if y'all thought I was crazy then,
isn't that the dream though? Isn't that what it's always been about though? Like, think about it. You're working directly in the field, like doing what we do now. Like somebody's paying you to do what we do now. Like we do our stuff, but then somebody else is paying you for your services. Right. And it takes me back to the almighty Capstone Project.
Oh boy.
It's like when you think wrestling doesn't sell. I hear Bruce Pritchard say it a lot on his podcast. He's like, you know, it's crazy to see how things.
He needs to stay there, but that's a different story.
Oh boy, see, I'm not gonna get into that. You know, trust me, we got plenty to dive into. That's the best gun sound you could.
That's the minor shot. You know, I think I got
that's the cleanest one you can get.
Yeah, I didn't put that's the built-in one. You know, it's funny because like so my cousin, shout out to Chain Wayne Blogs, he does a show and you know he gets into all the ratchetness that's going into the hip-hop and the culture. So you know, he got the the AKs or whatever the loud, you know, I don't know guns. But and so I was like, hey man, I said, look, he was like, what? I said, yo, he's like, what kind of gun is that? I said, it was built in the mixer.
I don't recognize that one. But yeah, I mean, it's just
but that Capstone Project, though,
it goes back to the almighty. It's just like I was saying when Bruce used to stand, like it's amazing to see that he's saying years ago, you know, people you would look down upon, or you know, people kind of snub their nose at you for working in the wrestling industry and the business, and he's like, now it's just such a respected corporate entity. And it just goes back to, like I said, you know, it was something that we talked about, you know, 10 years ago. Like I said, as we still celebrate our, you know, 10th anniversary of doing this, you know, and it was that project itself kind of symbolized a moment where industry folks, respectfully so, were like, this isn't, it shouldn't be something else? Shouldn't it be a different way? And we were like, oh yeah, sure it is. But in the back of our minds, like, no, it's not. It's staying this way.
Yeah.
And it gave us a B minus. And then look at you now. You know what I mean? We're doing this, we're expanding, we got so much going on, and then somebody's actually paying you to do what you have always been very, very great at. You know what I mean? So it's about time somebody cut you a check. You deserve it.
I appreciate it, man. You know, I don't take it lightly, don't take it for granted. You know, it's fun. And it's one of those things, you know, shout out to, I was talking to a guy, the babyface producer for the Masked Man show, Jonathan Kerma. and he's been very great helping me get acclimated with things over there. And so, I told him, I said, man, I'm blessed to having the time of my life. He said, you come in with that new energy, it does give you a perspective, like, when things go crazy, you're reminded, like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah, of course.
So,
yeah.
So definitely, like I said, but the wrestling realm ain't going nowhere, dog. We really just kicking into another gear for real.
Everybody should know by now. And if you don't, let me just, here we go. Lift the
Go
mic
ahead
up.
and say it. Let me just say this. I knew you wanted to.
No, I'm not gonna do that. That's gonna be a text message later, and I'm like, nah, I didn't mean to take that from you. Sorry. Here's what I'll say. You like what I did there?
Yeah.
You should know by now that if the wrestling realm ever disappears for a long extended period of time, it's always for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I don't know what the remote is. I didn't turn it on.
Drop some bars.
I don't know where's that. So tell her she's on the show now, because I had to stop and I don't know what I did with it. So this is what happens.
I thought he was about to. I was like, oh, he about to drop a bar too.
So yeah. So yeah, I'm still trying to think about where the remote is now. I don't know. Anytime we go away for an extended period of time, you should already know. Now that this is domesticated life. Now the cat wants to act a fool. Stop. Anytime we go away for a long period of time, you know what I mean? We're up to something. It's always something. Like, it's never just for vacation purposes. It's always for a reason. So yeah, it's gonna be. We'll get into it. We have plenty of things to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll probably touch on some wrestling, but shout out to what. It's over there. Shout out to our big bro Brandon, custom guy 913.
Oh, So wait. Time out. That's probably why he called me the other day. I never had a chance to call him back. I was at work. And he called, and usually, I share an office. So like on days when my office mate is not there, I can freely talk and stuff. But just out of respect, for the shared space, when we're in there together, I try to take any personal calls, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably why he called. And the crazy part is, the last time I talked to him, he was talking about, what happened with how he listed the title, and then how it came down because somebody else, found a better deal or whatever the case may be. And then, he was going to try to go back and sell it to somebody else that wanted, but he purposely put it aside for this one individual that said they were going to, pay him the price that he was looking for in regards to it. But it looks like it's in your possession now.
It was either that or ROH one. I was like, well, you choose. He was like,
which ROH one? The original?
The one that Steen had. That Kevin Steen had.
Which he like the one after Davey Richards?
Yeah, not the one I got. I got the Adam Cole one.
What? Hold. Time out.
Wait, no.
What? You got a Ring of Honor title?
Yeah. You didn't come downstairs. That's
No, you don't. You don't got a Ring of Honor title.
Dude,
ladies and gentlemen, talking about this is breaking news. I was just at his house on Friday.
Huh?
Oh, okay. You got their big goal. That's what I call that, Joe.
This one?
Yeah. That's their big goal.
This came from him because he said he didn't like something on it, and I was like, I don't care. Thank you.
Yeah, Brandon's picky. He don't play with his titles. He don't play with his championships.
And I'm gonna go ahead and say this online on record. So we're gonna put this out there. I know there's people that think they started belt collection, and I know there's people that think they was the first person to ever buy a title.
Show the screenshot and show the date on it.
But I'm gonna tell you this:
Uh-huh.
They ain't got more than Brandon.
No, sir. No, sir.
I've seen Conrad. I've seen a lot of people with their collections, and they too sweet. It doesn't have to be a competition, but let it be known that if Brandon was to put up the comp, if it was, I'm rolling with Big Bro.
And Brandon Guy is very specific. Like he does not mess around when it comes to those titles. He's very choosy. He'll have it. If it's not what he wants, he's going to hold on to it until he can find someone else that can do it better. So, well, I'm happy for you. I'm glad you got that TNA championship. He told me about it.
Yeah, he was like, you don't have a TNA belt. I said, you're right. I was like, oh, okay. So,
Like I
but
said,
yeah, shout out to him.
He blessed him with the original one.
And he been trying, he been sending me like, yo, this is on sale. I said, Brandon, no, I'm not. I got plans for the kids. I can't say it on there because now I know my kids like to listen to the show, but I got plans for them.
Don't spoil it.
Right. So I'm like, I can't. I'm trying not to spend money on myself. But here's the thing. Dude, should we show it to him? Should we show it to him? Because I ain't trying to spend money on myself.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, but y'all can show money because there's been a thing that people been asking for a while. And they've been saying,
I gotta make an adjustment, but go ahead and tell them.
They've been saying, when can we get t-shirts? Well, ladies and gentlemen, is it on the screen? Let me make sure as I go to StreamYard. Oh man, let me take the overlay off.
Take the overlay off.
Yeah, I realized that. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. It is official. The Wrestling Realm merchandise store. So right there, you'll see we have. Oh yeah, you're right. This is why you should be watching on YouTube. Because if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the visuals. But we appreciate the podcast subscribers and listeners and followers. Now on Spotify, you can go there and rate the show. So please give us a high rating. But you go to YouTube or I'm gonna put the link in the show description. www.wrestlingrealm.com. It's very simple. Is live and up. You can buy as Dwayne called the OG shirt, the OG emblem. And y'all seen the DX style shirt. Well, that's available too. And then one of my favorites, the Proud Wrestling Fan. And then for a limited time, we are selling the anniversary t-shirts as well as a Wrestling Realm Now podcast shirt. And then you want to drink some tea or coffee while watching the show, boom, you can get the mug too. So support the Wrestling Realm, wrestlingrealm.com. Like I said, right there, t-shirts. We'll be putting this all over social media as well. But we wanted to wait until we came back. I was very adamant about I didn't want to just do this on a break it down with Brian H. The Real Dwayne Allen didn't want to do this on a Realness Reacts. We had to let your people know. We appreciate everybody who's supporting us. Shout out to Cody Stewart. Shout out to Christina Alice. Shout out to Dr. D. Shout out to Megan Talbert. All the people who donated to our Buy Me a Coffee. We appreciate that. And shout out to everybody who just listened. People. I'm not gonna start naming names because then I'll be going on forever. Then I'll miss people all day. I'm human, but it's been a lot of supporters, and we really appreciate it. And now, like I said, we got t-shirts. So you can go ahead, rock a t-shirt. And then we see you in person. We'll take a picture and put it on social media, and we'll take a picture with us for free. So
use hashtag Wrestling Realm.
There you go. Hashtag Wrestling Realm. Shout out to the best designer in the world sitting right across from me. Well, technically on the screen, he's right here. The Real Dwayne Allen, who does all the designs. If you tell him he can't do it, he will figure it out. Bottom line.
That's usually how it works. I mean, that's a big deal, man. We just dropping bombs, man. That's just one thing I'm happy about is that we got a lot done in this 10th year. A lot of things that we were trying to figure out, a lot of things we were trying to do, a lot of things we were trying to, put two and two together. And it's like, it's such a, I thank God every day. It's a blessing to be able to do these things and, kind of bring it to fruition, a lot of things that we've always discussed and talked about and hoped to do. And now we're doing it, man. So I couldn't be more happier.
Nah, man, definitely, always thank the man upstairs. That was the thing that I used to love about Gorilla Monsoon as I think back to like the WrestleManias and especially WrestleMania 8. And he was like, when Hogan, or sometimes I'll call him Redacted, but he's still Hogan. He'll say
wow.
like, and
Okay.
as he thanks the man upstairs. I can't do Gorilla's voice by any means, but yeah, we definitely thank God for allowing us to do this 10 years and to be able to really accomplish everything we set out to do. Well, I
Yeah.
shouldn't say finish accomplishing, but get everything in motion that we set out to do. I remember,
Right.
we sat down when we was doing that capstone project, and the capstone project, really, to be honest with you, it was just, well, we got to do a project. We might as well work on our own stuff rather than waste time for something we don't care about.
Right. We killed two birds with one stone. We're trying to film a
Yeah.
trailer. Like, oh, well, we got a school assignment to do.
Yeah,
So,
and that's what my advice to young people is all the time. Find something you're passionate about and just keep utilizing it. Every time when I took a writing class, I was writing about wrestling. It was like at a point where you just embrace it. It was like, you know what? They've been saying, oh yeah, Brian H, you're always thinking about wrestlers. And it's like, screw it. Now, of course, when you get to college, it was different. But boy, when we went to North Carolina A&T, shout out to the family down there. Because
yeah, it was different, man. It's just
the wrestling realm with some celebrities.
sometimes you gotta get out your area, man.
Uh-huh.
You're like, man, you like what? You respect what we doing down here? I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? We're like, something about down south, but hey.
Yeah, that's a different story. That might be saved for the Patreon account.
WCW.
Yep. Oh yeah, because we sure was in Flair country.
It was in Greensboro, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Greensboro, North Carolina.
Yep.
Man. But yeah, so that's what's been going on. We've avoided a lot of fires. Last week it was Black Wrestling Twitter was all over the place. What else happened when we was gone? Ric Flair got canceled, then uncanceled, then canceled, I think. Yeah, because I was on vacation when Dark Side of the Ring came on. So yeah, that happened. Tony Khan's been lighting the internet world up because he can't help himself.
Just can't figure it out. There's a lot of things have happened. Daniel Bryan debuted in AEW.
That did happen while we was gone. I'm still trying to get used to calling Bryan Danielson.
I'm not calling him Bryan Danielson. It's Daniel Bryan.
Okay.
Like I know who he is. I watch Total Divas. I don't need to call him Bryan Danielson. It's Daniel Bryan. Because
I'm excited. He is the biggest star over there. You can't tell me nothing different.
No, you can't. Come on, man. Like his pedigree is by itself. Big match. No matter where he's at, big match. Yeah. He's the main event. That's how I feel. When he walks and steps into a ring, he's the main event. Kenny Omega has the same presence. You know what I mean? John Moxley has the same presence. Any match you're in, that is the main event. And Daniel Bryan is no exception. CM Punk to a degree, same thing. All big match feels. But too bad I can't get through a whole show. But
I have a feeling soon you'll be able to. And I've been saying that.
Why is that?
Because I feel like a lot of the people that were the quote unquote originals are going to get pushed to the back. And the reason why I say that is because when you think about AEW when it started, it was supposed to be like this alternative, right? But it was supposed to be for the wrestlers and the wrestling. When I saw, as much as I didn't want it to happen, but when I saw Adam Cole go over there, I said, okay, it makes sense. He's going over there with his friends. I mean, it's all but evident that Kevin Owens will probably be next.
Yeah, at this point, I don't see why he wouldn't be.
Yeah, because
when he didn't come out to interrupt Corbin, and it was Shinsuke. The other day on SmackDown, I was like, if I was a betting man, that man probably said, "I'm not doing it. I'm going home."
Yeah,
I'm not. I don't know nothing, but that's what made me nervous. I was like, well, why isn't Kevin Owens coming out to face Baron Corbin after it just kind of ended? Like, you know what I mean? It was no payoff, and I was like, uh-oh. You probably like, I'm not doing it. I'm going home.
You're right.
But that's the first. I hate to be so negative, and I'm not trying to spread any rumors or make it seem like that's what happened. But that was my first instinct, and I was like, oh no. Where's Kevin Owens at? Why Shinsuke? Because Shinsuke just randomly came out there, interrupt him, and then he went in the back, and then like the next match started.
It was weird, And
I was like, so we're just gonna I'm leaving alone.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I think but I'm just seeing more of these people, and people are getting upset. Okay, well, you got all these people, you bringing in former WWE guys. You said you wasn't gonna do that, but
I'm okay with it.
These are people that if AEW would have started in 2014, 2015, one of your favorite periods of wrestling, that's like non-WWE stuff, if AEW would have started around that time, all of those people would have been in over there, and including AJ Styles. And I think AJ's good. I don't think AJ's leaving. I think, they say he said he signed his own last contract, but I think considering what his spot in WWE and probably the comfort level he's afforded, I think AJ Styles is good. You know what I mean? And I think Vince would keep offering him money to keep him from going.
Yeah,
Because
he's a WWE guy. He's a guy that came in and just kind of took the reins. Like I said, to me, I think he was the catalyst that gave John Cena the comfortability to say, okay, I'm done. I can go do other things because it's in good hands now. You have enough guys where, he checks every box in regards to, for a lot of guys that are in AEW, they didn't get a fair shake. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I understand that, but it's not like
outside of John Moxley.
Outside of Mox, but he was just uncomfortable with what the direction of his character, because he wanted to go back to being a more edgy version of himself rather than just kind of. And it goes back to what we were saying, like Dean Ambrose always tried to be John Moxley, and he was never going to be, and he always looked uncomfortable trying to play that role because he was always trying to be true to himself. But it's difficult to do that with limitations. And he, where he's at now, it allows him just to be himself. Versus the WWE, he's like, well, what's your thing? What are we going to do with you? How do we, you know what I mean? You just can't walk around being this particular personality and then calling it a day. And it does work. It's working for him now in AEW. But it's just a lot of those guys are like, well, I didn't get the opportunity that I wanted. But like AJ Styles was, he's got everything.
Exactly.
What reason does he have to prove to go over there? Just to go over there, just to say I'm over here. Or like a Dane Bryant's guy. He's like, well, I'm a wrestler, and I haven't had a chance to be focused on just being a wrestler for a long time, and I want to get that edge back. So when he went over, it kind of made sense. Like, well, that's always been Daniel Bryan. That's who he was before he got to WWE. And he's like, hey, look, man, I'm on my last ride. That's not necessarily his last ride, but he's like, look, while I'm healthy, there's a couple of things on my bucket list I want to get situated and kind of get out my system. So.
And have matches with Minoru Suzuki.
Say his name again.
Did I say? I must have messed it up. What is it, man?
I couldn't even tell you, but I just wanted to hear your interpretation of it.
Well, I said Minoru Suzuki.
I don't know. I was listening. I'm not. So you thought I was trying to crack a joke. I just want to see. It just sounded funny the way you said it.
But yeah, those two went out there Friday night on the buy-in, and just put on an incredible match. Like I couldn't. I was like, all right, I need to sit down or be focused and watch this. Like, nothing else. Matter of fact, I got on the bike and I put my phone away because I didn't want nothing. I didn't want to be sidetracked, and I enjoyed it.
Right. Now, it was a great wrestling match, and that's what you want. You know what I mean? Two legends. And to have him kind of in that space again, it was like, yo, that was fun to see Daniel Bryan had that. It was dangerous though. Like, goodness gracious. Yeah. I don't see how Brie Bella has allowed him to even do those type of matches anymore. Because when but Daniel Bryan has kind of come out and
kind of dangerous because life been like in a routine. I don't want to say boring, but it's been in a routine because he's a father. And when you taking care of kids, it's this, and this is a schedule. So he needed some chaos.
And if it's for that sake, then I'm okay with it. Like that's a very Daniel Bryan thing to do. So I'm okay with it. But he's been simply amazing. He's not lost in the shuffle, in WWE right now, because it's just right now it's about all the big dogs, Roman, Brock, Goldberg, Lashley, Big E. You know what I mean? The workhorses are kind of, trying to find their way.
Speaking of Big E, I've been waiting for this one. He is the WWE champion. And I remember back when it was cold, you was having a hard time taking him seriously. Around the time he was beefing with Apollo. And I
was very critical of the Big E. I was.
And not in a and I just want to make this clear. It wasn't in a Booker T way. It wasn't in a way like, oh, he needs to change his character. But you was just saying, like, just with the stuff, some of the stuff, you was just having a hard time taking it seriously. how do you feel now? I mean, honestly, I know, bringing the fourth wall, I know you're happy that he's WWE champion, but how do you feel overall with everything and seeing like how things are now?
I think the biggest thing is he made the adjustment. I mean, the thing that I was concerned about, he addressed and he made. Big E I think he's doing a great job of one, proving that he doesn't have to change his entire personality to be who he is and to be effective as WWE champion, as a top guy. And I mean that as is when he was first beating Apollo, or they were beefing, go out there, have knockout, drag out battles and fights and stuff. But then he would always it was always a joke afterwards. He would play it off as if he was out there just playing, like he wasn't taking it seriously. And I'm like, man, there's an edge that I need to see from you. I heard Vince McMahon talk about it a lot when he came to Mark Henry, in his tweener years where he came back and he was intense, but he's like, I need to see Hall of Pain Mark Henry. There's another level that you can go to. There's another edge that that to me, or even in Vince's eyes, is more effective in his position for where he was at the time. And I felt the same way about Big E. I'm like, man, Big E can everything doesn't have to, like, we know what you do. We know you don't want to be typecast. And I respect that as a fellow black man. I'm glad that he kind of made that stand. Like, not that they were trying to force him to, but he was just like, look, I don't feel a need to have to turn heel or be the angry black guy or the typical, it's my time, it's my turn, angle. But he made the adjustment. Everything wasn't always about being a joke. He was himself, but when it came down to getting things done, he was like, I'm serious about what I do, and I'm here for a reason. I'm not gonna, this isn't something I played the game about. And to me, that was just growth and evolution. And to me, I watched him go to that next level, and he got everything he deserved. I mean, he's doing a very good job for a guy in his first run as WWE champion, as them trying to establish new characters, new top guys, and preparing that next generation. You kind of go forward now with all these former world champions, and you can it's the gift that keeps on giving, because if Big E continues on the path that he's on, every match he has after this is a big match. We watched it with Drew McIntyre. We watch it with Bobby Lashley. They're made men now. That's how you build characters in WWE. We watch it with Sheamus. We watch it with plenty of guys like that. Once they're in that space and they're respected as world champions, when they win the IC title, it makes sense. When they win the United States Championship, it makes sense. We see a lot with guys like Jeff Hardy. It doesn't matter where they fall on the card, still a former world champion. Yep. So then when he's not world champion and you have an event like Crown Jewel, when Drew McIntyre match comes on, it's not a match that you take lightly, because that's a former world champion. When Bobby Lashley or decides to get into a battle with Goldberg, we forgot about the whole WWE championship, because the way the storyline went became much more of a focal point, and it made sense. And we don't look down on Bobby Lashley for losing the WWE championship, because we're like, you have bigger problems, brother. You got to worry about Goldberg. Is because you sat there and choked out his son, not paying attention to what was going on. You just reacted. That's a much more compelling story. It made us forget about, well, dang, Bobby Lashley lost, but they gave us the Hurt Business back, and they gave us Bobby Lashley versus Goldberg in the way that Goldberg, that's probably one of the best booked matches in this version of Goldberg that I've seen in a long time. I'm like, that's how he should be booked. Kind of no holds barred. It's like he should be fighting like a monster. Like that should be his thing. Don't let him go in there and start trying to put on a technical match. Let him just tell his story. And he's going to show up, look like $1 million, and don't overcomplicate things. Don't ask him to do too much. But that's what made Goldberg what he was in the first place. But I say that to say, we don't remember that he lost the WWE champ. We're not focused on it. One, we're happy Big E won it. That works. Two, the Hurt Business come back even better. Three, he's in a program with Goldberg. You're not worried about the WWE championship anymore, right? Because now he's a top guy. He's in top guy situations. And I think that's what you need when it comes. That's what I don't see from any other wrestling promotion. You have to have patience, right? You have to be able to deal with the criticism. You have to deal with the grumps and the groans. It's hotshot indie booking. You know what I mean? You book your show from month to month because the fans are right there. You're not writing television. You're not expanding. You're not going long term. So it's like, where's the payoff? Because the payoff is now these characters are established stars that you can make money with for the long term. Not just he was hot this moment, now he's not hot, and now I don't take him serious anymore. Like a Lance Archer. Lance Archer came into AEW as like, oh, this, I'd have put any belt on him just because he didn't have to have it for long. But it's like, do that to establish him as a top guy. Now he's just another big man.
Yeah.
Stuff like that to me is what makes a difference from as a wrestling fan, not as the person that loves wrestling, that's watched it and grown up with it. I'm talking about somebody that says, okay, if I'm just a regular consumer, I'm just a regular viewer, I have to perceive these characters on TV a certain way based off how I see them and how they're presented to me over time. Right. And I watch that because I watch with a family that are casual viewers. They only they watch now because it's entertaining, not because for the love of wrestling. You know, it's entertaining. They got good films. They like the action. It's just fun. And the way that
pick
they're
a wrestler they like and go from there.
And then they're getting more into the stories now because it's like, yeah, you guys are getting wrestling now. Because they all say the same thing. Oh, wrestling's not real. Okay, cool. We all know that there's a counseling period for wrestling fans. Now, once you get over that, see if you can get into what they're giving to you every week. And if some people can, some people can't. But the casual viewer can get it to it because it's simple. It's not supposed to be overly complicated because the history of a particular wrestling isn't important. That's for AEW. That's for the Indies. That's for Ring of Honor. That's for New Japan, the diehards. But for the entertainment, you're like, well, I can get into this. Look at this guy. I mean, look at a guy like Roman Reigns right now. Come on now. The checks write themselves simply because of how he carries himself. It's like the women love to look at him, but they hate him because he's so arrogant. But isn't that something that most women deal with anyway? See, that's a different level of depth that people are not paying attention to. Somebody thought about that backstage. It ain't just me. You know what I mean? Like that's the psychology of what you're doing. Like, why is Roman Reigns a heel, but he's got the most the most sold t-shirts of any bad guy in WWE history on that level?
Yep.
Come on now, because it's like you look at the man, you say, man, he looks like $1 million, but golly, he's such a jerk. But at the same time, no, he has, his clothes say things like acknowledge me. Like, don't we all have these acknowledge me moments when I want to make my statement? When I want to see myself as that person, when I want to have, it's all relatable on so many different levels.
This takes me back to my favorite soap opera. He's the Victor Newman. Victor Newman is a heel, but every man admires him because you want to be in a position to always make sure your family eats and is successful. And that's what Roman Reigns is. He got his cousins in line because they was out of line. Now what? They walking around with gold on their waist. And when something goes wrong, the moment they show up, once he got them on the same page and got them to acknowledge him, because like he always say, I gotta provide this whole family, this whole tribe. They all depend on me. And nothing told that story better than when after him and Jay's Hell in a Cell match, that his dad and his uncle came out there. And they anointed him. That right there showed you, okay, this is the guy that we depend on now. He is the head of the table. Just the simple stuff with the t-shirts. Head of the table, acknowledge me, show up and win, pin them, stack them, all that. That's the reason why he is the biggest selling merchant man right now.
It goes back to the long-term booking. Once again, you have to be able to tell multiple stories under one arch. Let's take it back to the 90s. Let's take it back to Power Rangers. Green with Evil, parts 1, 2, 3, how many it was when it came to Power Rangers. There were so many underlying stories that touched us as children when we watched Green with Evil. Our beloved Power Rangers were matched by one of their own that was much more powerful than they were. How do we know? Because first of all, the suit was green. Second of all, he had this gold shield. Third of all, he had his own Zord that he was that could take out, a whole set of Zords and a whole team of Power Rangers. As I remember going to school stressed out as a kid, like, whoa.
That's what the meme said. Yep.
We were all in school, like, just having a rough day. Like, man, I can't wait till 4 o'clock or 4:30 to get home to figure out what's going on, because the series might be over with. We might not get any more power. This might be it.
Yeah, we thought he was going to destroy him.
Right. So guess what? He's a bad guy, right? That was taking out our childhood heroes at the time, because of course a lot of us had many of them, but at 93. I mean, it's not too many people that didn't believe in the Power Rangers, not like in Santa Claus, but like, Power Rangers was everything.
Yep.
But guess what though? He looked really, really cool. Right? So he had a flute. He had the green suit. It looked different from everybody else's. He had the gold shield. It's like, golly, this man might end my show, but he's cool. So guess what? When you're on the playground and you pick up that stick and that's your flute, all of a sudden you find yourself gravitating towards the cool bad guy. And then it just the moment of elation when he finally flipped, he realized he wasn't on purpose. He was under a spell. Now he's a good guy, and then you add him to the Ranger team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you continue on with many, iterations of that and that. But that's what I'm talking about in terms of storytelling. And I use that specific example because that was a story that touched us as children. Like that got us as kids. It's the same type of booking that we see in WWE when it comes to storylines, specifically like Roman Reigns. Like he has done every type of thing. Right. I've never seen such a layered story in such a long time. We have got to have history, right? Like Edge and Cena. Or even right now, Edge and Seth Rollins. Like I said, they were able to take a moment, right? Yep. When Edge, came back to visit and, Seth Rollins was hitting his architect era, ways, and he had his neck on Edge. He had his foot on Edge's neck, and everybody knows that. It was public knowledge. It was like no secret. Everybody knows how bad his neck was. And,
imagine we're 4 years away from his retirement, too. That was still early. He
was domesticated. He had short hair. He was acting. He looked real casual. And it was nothing you do to defend. You felt pitiful because it's like, man, it's nothing he can do to defend himself in this moment. And to be able to take from that and bring it into today, and you just keep layering it, like there's layers to it. Anybody that enjoys a good story will tune in to watch how the story plays out when you don't worry about the logistics of, well, they all had this, they discussed this backstage. It's like, man, I've been around those people that said, oh yeah, this is right. That's your counseling. Get it off your chest. Yes. Now that you know it's not, can you get into what's going on? And guess what? So many people sympathize with Edge, but at the same time, so many people said, well, you know what? Seth Rollins is kind of right. Everything that Seth Rollins has done, Edge has probably done it 10 times worse. And it's like, man, it leaves compelling storytelling, but it's also by veterans. It's what we consider the WWE way, right?
Yeah,
because nobody else will risk their product, risk their ratings to take the time to do that type of storytelling and layering. Does it work all the time? No. Do they need to do it more? Sure, absolutely, because that's why we enjoyed the Attitude Era so much. There was layers and depth to everybody from top to bottom. Even all the way down to what we saw on Shotgun Saturday Night or Sunday Night Heat. Wrestling wasn't as available to us as much, so we appreciated whatever we saw. But at the same time, those things mattered. Those things made a difference. And it's few and far in between in WWE, but as much as people complain about it, there's that many more people that really enjoy what we watch. So.
Yeah, and you know what? Real quick, wanted to touch on something with Seth Rollins and Edge. I was watching that match, and I started thinking. I said, most people, when you think about Edge, you think of his main event run. His best rival was John Cena, right? Now, Cena's rival, Cena and Orton are like always compared to each other. You know what I mean? To me, it's kind of like I always looked at growing up Sting and Ric Flair. But then as I got older, I realized, well, actually, Flair's greatest rival is Ricky Steamboat to some people,
Okay,
and
sure.
And then you got the older people say Harley Race, But I saw Seth and Edge and watching them at Crown Jewel. I was like, man, if those two were in their prime together, that would have been a box office draw, because not only can they go in the ring, but their depth of storytelling. And how they can go, like you said, everything Seth Rollins is doing, Edge did worse. And how they can go right there, and it's just, man, it would have been crazy.
I mean, that's the thing. And Seth Rollins is ridiculous. Like, Seth Rollins is that good. Like, I mean, Seth Rollins is, top guy for sure. He's on a different level. And I think just Edge has just brought so much life back to WWE in general. He's everything he's been involved in has just been a home run. I think just one, his time away. To his growth also as a performer, because Edge didn't just sit around and do nothing. He was acting, he was on shows, he was taking classes. That was what he was trying to transition to. He was transitioning into a serious television star. He was making more and more appearances on a lot of different shows, and he was working on many different concepts. And he has brought so much of that back into the WWE. And I'm like, man, I can't imagine what the superstars feel being able to work with him and be around him and pick his brain, man, because we're seeing so much. We're benefiting from so much that he's already done. And
I mean,
and
just
even
sitting at home, you learn. Think about it. You play basketball, right? And if you was to sit back and let's just say, I mean, you in shape, but let's just say you could play and move the same way you do now. Like at 18, you can move now. Think about how much better you would be just because of the mental knowledge of the game. Like I've been reading Kobe Bryant's book, Mamba Mentality, and it's one of the reasons. Like the more I read it, like I know what everybody say who the greatest of all time is, right? But I'm sitting there like really delving into this stuff, and I'm like, this is Kobe's my GOAT for these reasons because of all the meticulous things he did that I've never heard him talk about before until I like really opened this book. And when you see how he was able to like break down the game, and essentially he's revealing all his secrets because he's retired at this point. So now he can tell you what he did. It's honestly, it's a gift for any basketball fan. If they pick up and read it, it's like I felt like I could go play better. And I know like I wasn't good at all. But if I'd have known like some of the little tricks to the trade that he did where I wouldn't have been able to do physically, I could have made it mentally. And so, and that's the way I look at it with Edge. He's got a second chance at this wrestling life, and it's allowed him to be a better performer. Like I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing Edge wear the WWE Championship again. And I'm kind of hoping we get that. Me being like he's one of my favorite wrestlers, so I'm kind of hoping we get that again. Not no time soon, but it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Nah, it's just firing on all cylinders. You know what I mean? It always takes a lot of guys to find their footing when they return. But he has been tremendous, coming back from injuries and just making whatever adjustments.
I mean, look who he worked with too, Randy Orton. And I mean, Randy Orton is. We always say it, like if you're building a prototypical superstar, it's Randy Orton. Just from physically, the ring psychology, a lot what he said he learned from John Cena. But it's Randy Orton, and those two, and that set him up. And that's the thing about Seth Rollins too. Seth Rollins has literally worked with the best and been able to work with guys like Orton and Cena, and that's the reason why I like to, he's a megastar in his own right,
Yeah. No, it makes sense, man. But that's the beauty of what I'm enjoying right now. Because we didn't always have that. It wasn't always that deep,
Yeah.
Everything, there's been a lot of, throwing stuff up against the wall, see if it sticks type things that we've seen. But it's nothing is perfect, and I'm not, by any means saying, oh yeah, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, but it's enough for me. Like if you just give me what I need, my expectations for professional wrestling, they have to change with age and experience because we've seen everything dang near. So when we see different things and stuff, something that's new, it's always fun to get into. Like the Fiend, you know what I mean? Like that was something that was different. It was fun. It was a new take on an old kind of character. When I mean by character, like we've always had this mysterious type character with this kind of evil mystique, but you can't tell if they're hero or anti-hero. Like the most impactful one obviously has been The Undertaker. We've seen it somewhat with Finn and his demon persona. And then when The Fiend came along, it was just like this weird sociopath, Mr. Rogers meets, it's just like carnival clown type. It was such a breath of fresh air because it was something different that was working, something we haven't seen before. And it was like, man, this is worth kind of taking a look at,
Exactly.
So anytime you get those opportunities, man, it's you got to find reasons to enjoy the product, or like I said, there's so much out there now that, people can enjoy. AEW has provided, as much as they want to call themselves competition, it's more of an alternative.
That's all it is.
Yeah. It's the crazy part is it's like, it seems to me like Tony Khan doesn't want to embrace the fact that AEW is an alternative. He wants to be on the same level as WWE sports entertainment, but it's like, dude, you're not willing to make the sacrifices to be sports entertainment because of what you're going to have to give up. you know.
Yep.
But I think that he's kind of like noticing, like, yo, I gotta, in order to be on this level, I have to make adjustments to this level, and it may steer away from my original vision of what we're doing. For instance, taking creative control away from the Young Bucks. This is one we don't know if that's true or not. But just the idea of it, I'm like, okay, so you tried the committee thing, and now you realize, yeah, it's probably not good to let the inmates run the asylum. That was the biggest thing. I said, so you're gonna let these 4 wrestlers be executive vice presidents, but you know, we've heard rumors and stuff, rumblings, of course, the dirt sheets to say, like, you know, this, it's not a honeymoon anymore at this point. So I don't know. It's tough to say, but to me, it's still an alternative. It's the new kid in the room. If you like that style of professional wrestling, you have a big audience for it now. You have a big stage for it. At one point, you didn't have a big stage for it. But I'm gonna tell you one thing I don't like is I don't like when the fans start talking about how great AEW was. But I'm like, yeah, but where was y'all at when these guys was, you know, wrestling on regular TV? You know what I mean? Like, y'all talk all this stuff now, but I'm like, you weren't a fan of them back when they was in a building that only had 300 people in it. You know, a couple thousand. You know, on the big events. You know, now all of a sudden these guys are the greatest wrestlers in the world. I'm like, man, look, you're not gonna convince me to like something just for the sake of professional wrestling. And a lot of other wrestling fans want us to do that. No, you're supposed to like it because it's just wrestling. You should be happy. There's something more than WWE. It's good enough. I'm like, no. I grew up with WCW and WWF and ECW. I'm not accepting anything, especially when you got a guy that's running his mouth so much to the point where he's saying he's on the same level as that. I'm like, dude, no, you're not. I don't care. I don't care how many demos you win between 18 and 49. It doesn't make a difference because WCW, their style of professional wrestling was on the same level of success and exposure as the WWF, WWE, whatever you want to call it. That's the difference.
Talk about it.
That's the difference. And Eric Bischoff kind of alluded to it recently. He's like, you know, now Tony Khan is getting snippy with Eric Bischoff all of a sudden. You know, he had him on the show for his nostalgia run because he thought it'd be cool. You know, and then, you know, Eric Bischoff's like, okay, well, you know, here's my advice: is shut up and you know, and do
shut
your
up
own
and
thing.
promote.
Yeah. And he's like, oh well, I'm focusing on wrestling. He's like, oh yeah, just shut up and focus on wrestling. He's like, well, I'm focused on wrestling. Like, that's so guys like Chris Jericho don't want to leave your company like he did in WCW back. It's like, see, that's unnecessary. Right? Like, to me, that's just like you're focusing on the wrong things. You don't like to be criticized because Eric Bischoff was right. Eric Bischoff has been on your show. Eric Bischoff has given you praise that you've proven that you can put on a better wrestling product. Matter of opinion, but hey, his word goes far enough. I mean, he was the last one that really had a successful company, you know, on that level before. So hey, if he says it, then hey, it's something to argue.
Hey, remember, he also put over the wrestling realm.
So he has good taste. You know, you know, if you can go see the pinned tweet that was on our Twitter account, Eric Bischoff, you know, he gave us a thumbs up on a project that we did. Go see what that project is on youtube.com/wrestling realm. But he told him that, and you know, and he's still getting snippy. And I'm like, man, you're not focusing, because to me, he's trying to force a situation that the business won't allow him to do. See, we always got mad at Vince McMahon because Vince McMahon compromised and paid the bills. You know what I mean? If USA says we want John Cena to start the show because Gladware just paid us $22 million to run these ads all night, and he's going to be in one of the commercials, we're gonna be mad, and we're gonna say he's born, and then why is he in? But guess what? John Cena's gonna be starting Raw. He's gonna finish Raw, right? And that's the thing, because that's the business of, hey, look, wrestling's not as popular as it used to be. We still have bills to pay.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's I understand exactly where Tony Khan is coming from. But like I said, I've seen wrestling at its best. You're not going to convince me that what I'm looking at, some people just happy. Oh, it's great because you got two companies, right? That's not good enough for me. I've lived through that era before already. I'm not impressed. You know, there's not a lot. They put on some really great matches as far as they're concerned. I have not gotten through an entire show. Like go ahead. No, I'm saying if I find out what's on the show that week, and I'm like, I don't see Christian, I don't see Sting, I don't see Jericho, I don't see Wardlow, I don't see, Daniel Bryan. I don't see CM Punk, I'm not turning to it. Because guess what? There's times those guys have been on the shows and I still haven't turned to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really feel like I'm missing out on anything, you know. I love wrestling and everything, but I've seen so much of it, I can consume it on so many different levels. I don't have to settle for anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. You know, we're fans enough that if we want, we can get on YouTube. YouTube ain't like before where you kind of always had to settle for your computer or your phone. You can get right on your TVs, you know, and just like, all right, cool, who's wrestling? You know, I'm always watching my friends. Shout out to Amber Rodriguez, you know, watching matches, her matches, watching other people's matches. So it's so accessible that if you ain't bringing it, I don't have to turn to it. And that's the thing. You got fans out here who, and my thing is, what irritates me about wrestler fans is shaming.
Mm-hmm.
If you say, okay, I'm a WWE guy, oh, you're not a real wrestler fan. Why not? I don't watch WWE. Oh, you ain't a real wrestler fan. Like, we get made fun of it from the outside enough.
Yeah, it's not even. I look at it like, man, it's not even that serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But like I said, man, that's also, as much as that is kind of gripey, it's also what makes it kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's fun to have these type of conversations and to kind of get our points across.
Just because you like shutting people down, though. It's actually funny.
But you know the crazy part is, though, I don't even do it like I used to do. Like before, I used to go toe to toe with people. Certain people I just won't even respond to because it's like, okay, you're not worth my time because you clearly just want to get how you feel off your chest, which is fine, you know. Mm-hmm. And I think now that I'm older, I recognize that and say, you know what, Wayne, that's okay that they do that. You don't have to argue with them like, well, that makes no sense. What's like, well, they're frustrated. They don't like what they're saying. They have every right to do and say that. Now, what you're not going to do is you're not going to convince me that you're right. Just say that's your opinion, you know. And usually when people come out of their opinion, it's just like, oh, see, I won't even talk wrestling with you. I just won't. I'm like, okay, you're going off the handle because you want to tell me how you feel. But I think as long as we stay in our places as fans, I'm good. You know what I mean? You have the right to like and not like what you like and do like and don't like. But when you start, I'm gonna tell you what it should have been, what it should have did. I'm like, okay, see, now we're going too far. We don't know why this is happening. Like we talked about Bianca Belair when she lost at SummerSlam. Nobody wanted that. Like nobody wanted that to be a squash match. That's for a number of different reasons. But like I said, how many times has Bianca Belair main evented Raw and SmackDown because of that? Like I said, to me, the sympathy factor was on 1,000 when it came to her. Like I'm like, she's going to be the most over babyface in the company because of she has had every match won, and something has always happened to prevent her from getting over that hump. And we know it's not her fault because we just watched it.
Don't that remind you of something in 2012?
Does it? Listen, 2012. Who knows?
Oh, about WrestleMania 28 opening match. Daniel Bryan.
Oh yeah, I was good with it. Oh man, I was good, and that was for the United States Championship, wasn't it?
No, the World Heavyweight Championship.
No, yeah, it was because AJ was out there with him.
Yeah, and ever since then, the Yes movement. It was building that weekend. Corey will tell you, and Hugh will tell you, it was building. By the time WrestleMania Sunday got there, it was up there. And then when that happened. You know, if you go back and look at the video, fans hijacked the show a little bit, but it was outside and it wasn't that many. But people was chanting yes during the women's match, unfortunately. The tag team match with what's her name? Maria Menounos and Kelly against Beth Phoenix and Eva. I think.
Yep.
Yeah, fans were hijacking that. They was like doing the yes shit. And then the next day, that's what Daniel Bryan said, y'all better buy me the t-shirt. Now, and I'm like, as much as people hated it, because Daniel Bryan was always a fan favorite, even as a heel. He was just that guy because of, he was the indie guy.
Right.
If he loses the Sheamus in a regular match, people probably still gonna cheer. They probably gonna push, but that made people say, no, we're angry now because you only gave us 18 seconds of our guy, and that's what happened with Bianca. If she loses clean, it's actually probably worse because people are gonna be so happy that Becky's back and she's champ, but then here comes Becky being a mirrored image of Seth Rollins, so annoying. And she's made like, okay, behind closed doors, come on, Bianca, I'm taking you to the next level. Let's get this money.
She had to, because guess what she needed? She needed an antagonist. And now Becky Lynch will always go down in history as one of Bianca Belair's greatest rivals. And a lot of people have had a lot of missteps in the wrestling business as far as their careers are concerned because they didn't have that Joker to their Batman. You know, they didn't have that, you know, that antagonist that pushed the hero to where they needed to be.
Write that down. That's the show.
Hey, that's you know, and and once again, nobody's complaining about SummerSlam anymore because we're enjoying what we see now, and it's like nobody wants to wait and see because we usually don't have to. So we're very impatient, and I get it, but you know, sometimes you got to find say, okay, let's see where this is going. And then even still, you're gonna have people that if it's not what they want to be, they're gonna still say, nope, that's dumb. But at the end of the day, you have to go with the majority, and the majority of fans are okay with where things are now because of, first of all, those women are performing their tails off. They're putting on great wrestling matches. Like that's what I like to see from women's wrestling in general. I'm not a huge fan of putting women's wrestling in the ring with two women that don't really complement each other, right? Like you put Natalya in a match with anybody, you're okay. You put Charlotte Flair in a match with anybody, you're okay. You put Asuka, you know, 4 horsewomen, because they're going to make their opponent. They understand it. They grew up in the business and they have a certain love for the game, where they completely understand what they're there to do, because they watched it, they came up with it, and that's what I think. They've been such a welcome injection of energy in the women's division because they're performing on the same level as the dudes, and in a lot of cases they're performing as well in ticket sales and t-shirts and the box office and all that good stuff as well. So it's like, man, this is what they always wanted. They wanted to be superstar. Now I know it's still, you know, it's not where it needs to be still, and I know they're still ironing out wrinkles and things like that, but you know, from what I do see, like back in the day when we had a women's match, you didn't know what you were going to get. You know, it was unfortunately referred to as a bathroom break in a lot of situations, but it's like now it doesn't even have to be that. You know what I mean? You're like, oh man, you know, when a certain superstar comes out, they treat like a superstar, not a women's wrestler. And I think that's what, you know, that's what to me,
it's second nature for them to main event Raw or SmackDown. And you know, we remember it was a big deal when Trish and Lita did it. You know what I mean? But now it's just second nature. It's like, oh, okay, women close the show tonight. Cool. You know, I think I've been to 2 shows, a Monday night. Matter of fact, the last 2 shows I went to, the women closed the show. You know, one was when Bayley hit Becky with the chair, and then obviously Sasha and Bianca. You know, so it's pretty cool. It's really good stuff.
I was Bianca Belair main event Raw again with Charlotte Flair. I'm like, come on, man, she's on a high streak. Like she's on a roll. Like sometimes the journey is more important than the title. That's a bar.
Yeah.
You
I mean, we saw that with Sting. You know, throughout back in the 80s, well, the early 90s, you know.
Yeah, the almighty chase. And these guys are one like, oh, let's chase for a year. Like, you know how long that is in wrestling years? I mean,
did you get a chance to check out Crown Jewel before we get out of here?
Yeah. I literally just finished watching it before we got on. Like, that was one of the things that I was, you know, kids are trying to watch it in school and stuff like that. And you know, I that's one of the things one of the last things I did before we got on here. So
yeah, you know, that the women's match there, and you know, some people didn't like what I said, but I liked it better than the triple threat match that changed over the Divas title to the women's title with Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha. I like the Crown Jewel match better. I won Sasha and Becky's better than what they was back then. No shade, but you know, I mean, it's been 5 years. You're supposed to get better.
Of course.
But I just felt like they went out there and put on a performance, and you know, I was at the edge of my seat. Hated the ending from a fan perspective, understanding how wrestling works. I understand why the ending was, but it was one of those like you said, every time Bianca gets close, like God dang it, this happens, you know. And that's where I say, you know, Becky Lynch just doing her thing, you know. But obviously it's a lot to unpack there with Crown Jewel. But one of the things, you know, shout out to Xavier Woods and shout out to Zelina Vega. Both of them was my picks. Well, Zelina was my pick from day one. I ain't gonna even say Xavier was my pick. It was like, you know what, he probably should get it, but Zelina was.
I was nervous.
Yeah, you know, but that match between Roman and Brock, just the story, you know, and Brock already posted. It's already social media. he's like he's going to tear Roman and in the piece as soon as he see him on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And then you got Paul Heyman. I mean, I
The
know you don't
wrinkle,
like
man.
him. Yeah,
He's the wrinkle. I
throws the
watched,
belt in the middle, like
bro,
perfectly.
and he says, "You know what to do," or something to that degree. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"This guy's
The Usos going, they gonna beat him up. They gonna put.
It's the subtle details that make such a huge difference when you're a storyteller after the match. When you can leave the ending causing you to ask more questions than you have answers, right? It was so ambiguous. Paul Heyman throws the title in the ring in the middle. You know what to do with it. They jump in and stuff like that. It happened so quick. It happened so quick. We didn't have time to say, wait. Was this all along? Was this the Usos' plan? Or was Roman Reigns prepared because he knew he was going to do something slick? And then at the end of the match, when he won, the look that Paul Heyman was given to Roman Reigns, and Paul Heyman is an over-exaggerator. He did it from the end of the match all the way up the ramp. He just kept looking back at Brock and looking at Roman like he was nervous. He wasn't celebrating. And I'm just like, see, I said, see. And everybody was like, everybody sat there and said, yo, see, there you go. There you go. There you go. And I'm like, and it's those subtle nuances as the show goes off that makes that much of a difference. And I'm like, man, that's what you want, because that's what's going to cause me to tune in next week, because you have added another chapter to the story and we're getting closer and closer to what's really going on behind us, because we haven't figured out some things. So it's kind of a mystery. And I think that's the fun of it though. Like that is what makes it fun in regards to, okay, cool. What happens next? Yeah. So I didn't mean to go on a diatribe, but goodness gracious.
No, it's good stuff. That's wrestling, like I said, just that story right there has been one that, I've been really following. And Roman has been giving us cliffhanger after cliffhanger. There's been a cliffhanger with Roman after every pay-per-view, right? Since Money in the Bank. Because then John Cena shows up. Okay. He takes him down. Okay. Here comes Brock Lesnar. All right. But wait, he still got Finn. Well, he beats the demon, but nobody knows. They still ain't explain us what happened with the ropes. But then this happens. He pins Lesnar 1, 2, 3, but gets out of there. And now we still, and that's what they've been doing a great job with him, because every time we want to tune to SmackDown to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, and that's what you want from your top guy, period. Like he's supposed to be the reason that you tune into the show, to start the show, to finish the show. Yeah, Roman Reigns is smelling himself. He's on top of everything right now. He's running his mouth, and he knows the boys not going to have too much to say. It's like, man, he's not even a locker room leader. He's an industry leader at this point.
Man, what?
That's absolutely. You got other guys in other companies that not even like responding to nothing he's saying. He's made it very clear. And then, of course, you got a couple, mid-card curtain jerk type guys like, oh yeah, I'll take the rap and Roman, but it's like it doesn't really make a difference because you're not really a familiar superstar. So it's going to look like, oh, look at this guy trying to make a name for himself on Roman Reigns because he's such a global crossover star. Exactly. And so it's like I said, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot to unpack. But if they're giving me that every week, I'm okay. Like I don't need much anymore. I enjoy it. I want to see my favorites. AEW's for my favorites. They as long as I see them wrestle on TV every week or whenever, I'm good with that too. I'm not always invested in their stories, but they got some really good things going on as well. But I mean, that's just what the business is right now, at least from a fan's perspective.
Well, and then most importantly, I can't wait till we can get back out there, hit these indie roads again. Meet up with some of the fans and get back acclimated with things. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, man, happy to be back, man. There's still so much to do in this 10th year. Like we have a lot to do still. So I'm looking forward to it. We got, like I said, we just support us. We just launched our store, WrestlingRealm.com. Please, you want to be a part of what we do, be a leader of the wrestling fan revolution. Be a part of it, man. This is your chance. This is what we do. We're a large community, and our logo and our name stands for so much more. So now, being able to get that stuff done has been a blessing. It's been fun. we still got a lot of things to shoot. We still got a lot of stuff to record for the, for the Wrestling Room flagship show. A lot of new ideas, new concepts. So I'm just looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, we do. Oh man, that's gonna be fun stuff. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as always, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll make sure all links are accessible to you, so you go right to WrestlingRealm.com to purchase your t-shirts. Get a shirt, wear it, post on social media, so we know. We'll definitely give you shout out and repost and all that other good stuff. Tell people to follow you if you want more followers. We'll do that. But we appreciate everything. Until the next time, he is the Real Dwayne Allen. I am Brian H. Waters, and we're out.
Brian